In the fight against COVID-19, working out why the disease attacks people differently is vital. It's so sneaky. As often as it kills, it can also be completely benign. But now there's another group of sufferers, an increasing number for whom recovering from the disease is not the end of their ordeal, it's just the beginning. They're not regaining normal health, and tasks as simple as walking up a flight of stairs remain a struggle. The great worry for scientists is that these so-called COVID long-haul victims might even bear the scars of the pandemic for the rest of their lives.
I'll get you lie down on your back for me. Just get your arms up above your head. That's good.
It's almost 6 months since Joe Tanos tested positive for coronavirus.
Just remember, follow the breathing instruction, okay?
Yet barely a week goes by where he's not back in hospital. Today, it's a CT scan on his lungs, the 50-year-old being constantly monitored by researchers.
Yeah, this one's pretty good.
As they discover that even when you win the battle against COVID-19, there's often still a war to come.
Okay.
All these months on, would you have expected that the after effects of COVID-19 would still be this traumatic?
Just take a good hard look at someone like myself at 49 years of age. No underlying health conditions, to be struck down with it as bad as I did. It's real.
While the virus hits older sufferers hardest, the long-term effects don't discriminate. Many young and previously fit Australians, like Janine Coppy, now fearing they'll be feeling this for life.
I run home from work for training.
How many months since you've had COVID?
Ooh, it's going on to 6 months in a couple of weeks, so yeah, five and a bit months.
How would you rate your health percentage-wise compared to before then?
Today I'm going to say 60%.
And is that a good day or a bad day?
Today's a pretty good day.
Around the world, the debilitating after effects of this insidious disease are growing in profile, in part thanks to celebrity sufferers like actress Alyssa Milano.
One brushing. This is my hair loss.
I didn't think that I would still be sick 4 months, 5 months later. And I think that's the hardest part, is that there are no answers.
Now, though, it's Australian doctors who are leading the international search for those answers.
This is bad news. I'm worried about scarring, lung capacity, and maybe persistent symptoms and functional impairment.
Morning, guys.
Morning, Joe. How are you, mates?
You're both well?
Yeah, fantastic.
Joe Tanos is an old-school political lobbyist.
Well, early morning soccer was the killer, up at 8 o'clock.
Who, at 49 years young, had a new age approach to keeping himself in shape. Before coronavirus, were you a fit bloke?
Probably so. I was a very fit bloke, yeah, 2 or 3 times a week at the gym. Lots of events, social events. Yeah, I'd say I was a very busy and fit bloke. Good morning, sir.
It's one of those social events that may have brought him unstuck, having dined with the Prime Minister and Peter Dutton in the days before the Home Affairs Minister announced he had coronavirus.
I woke up sort of in the early hours of Friday morning with a fever and a sore throat and a slight shortness of breath.
It wasn't long after that Joe tested positive too, and within days he was struggling to breathe, ending up on a ventilator in an induced coma.
I remember the doctors keeping me as calm as possible. They just said it was, yeah, that they would do their best to get me through, and they had to move fairly quickly. And I said, look, I just need to call my family. I've got, 3 beautiful kids. I need to let them know. So I recall calling my daughter, my oldest daughter Stephanie, and my brothers on the WhatsApp and just saying I'm being intubated and I need to go in.
Joe, wave a little bit. Just wave. Relax. Take it easy.
After 10 long days in an induced coma, miraculously, Joe pulled through. And after recovering on the wards, headed home thinking he was out of the woods. But his once high hopes have led to high disappointment because 5 months on, even a short walk still knocks him out for the day.
The fatigue is still there. I still have shortness of breath from time to time. I'm not back to my capacity. I can't go into the gym and lift the weights that I used to be able to lift and do the boxing and do the training that I used to be able to do, and certainly can't walk the distance that I used to walk or ride my bike.
Is there even a menial task that you're surprised you struggle with?
Walking up the stairs.
That simple?
Yep.
I spoke to his GP about his INR.
Joe's now one of more than 100 recovering COVID-19 patients who are part of a world-leading study at St Vincent's Hospital in Sydney into the virus's long-term effects.
Black part is the blood-filled chambers and the white part is the heart muscle.
What's been worse for you, the few weeks when you were infectious and quite sick at that point in time, or the 5 months after that things have just dragged on?
Oh, definitely the 5 months. Yeah, I did not expect that this is how I would be feeling, that's for sure.
Is this your old running path along here?
Yeah.
Janine Coppy was fresh from running her first ever ultra marathon when she contracted COVID-19 in March.
Sometimes I push it too far and then I hear about it the next day from my body.
At 37, she was young and fit, so didn't need hospitalisation as she overcame the virus. But what she thought would be a speedy path to recovery has ended up becoming a marathon in its own right.
I was trying to go for a run. I think I got about 4 kilometres in and I just had to stop. I just physically couldn't keep going and I knew that something wasn't right.
You're a very positive person. You say you could tell me the worst story in the world with a smile and bright eyes. But behind that, I'd imagine it's been hard.
Yeah, and it's hard to talk about. Like, it's something deep inside me. Like, there's a trauma. And, sorry. And, yeah, the doctors not knowing how to help, what to do, makes it a lot scarier. It's a fear of the unknown.
So after COVID-19 infection, we're seeing a significant minority of patients who have persistent symptoms.
Janine's also part of the groundbreaking research being done at St Vincent's Hospital. With a significant number of the patients, they're discovering inflammation, even scarring of the lungs months and months later, which respiratory physician Dr. David Darley says is indicated by these cloudy white patches on their scans.
This is bad news. This means that the virus is causing very significant inflammation and pneumonia, which can make a patient very sick.
Most people are describing ongoing fatigue, reduced exercise tolerance, but some people also describing sort of chest heaviness, some difficulty breathing, and also sort of a brain fog or some issues around attention, concentration. The majority of people actually describe loss of sense of smell.
Professor Greg Dorr is one of the study's investigators and now believes we have a serious long-term health issue on our hands when it comes to the after effects of COVID-19.
What I think is concerning many people is that they didn't get over it. Okay, that initial acute illness might have resolved somewhat, but then the symptoms, in a sense, continued, and in some respects did become more constant and more debilitating, I suppose. And that concern about not recovering quickly is a sort of compounding sort of issue for many patients. Like, when am I going to get better? When am I going to get back to my life that I had sort of pre-COVID? It's something that people are definitely struggling with.
Hi everybody. I just wanted to show you the amount of hair that's coming out of my head as a result of COVID.
Alyssa Milano is one of the ever-growing cohort of coronavirus survivors being crippled by the condition's unexpected after effects.
This is my hair loss from COVID-19.
It's come as a total surprise for the actress, who, up until this year, had led a charmed life. But this is the 47-year-old in April, struggling to breathe, fearing she was about to die. Alyssa says while she's since tested positive to coronavirus antibodies, hospitals in the US were simply too overwhelmed to treat her properly at the time.
This is not a flu. I've never been sick
like this in my life. It's a very weird, because it literally feels like it's moving throughout your body. I get panicky just even thinking about that I went through that in those nights where I couldn't breathe.
The COVID-19 pandemic is a wake-up call.
Like so many coronavirus sufferers, Alyssa's discovered that when you're supposed to have recovered, things can actually get worse. And she's been documenting the ongoing side effects, like hair loss, in online video diaries.
Wear a damn mask.
Was it hard for you to make that video? Because I'd imagine part of you doesn't want anyone to see you looking like that.
It was hard, but I think you could tell I'm kind of defiant in it. I just watched it recently and I was like, whoa, I seem pretty pissed. And I think, you know, it's about so many months we did not take this seriously in the United States. And I think a lot of personal stories are good because we're writing these textbooks as we're going along, right? Like, people weren't talking about hair falling out in clumps 3 weeks ago before I made that video.
It's not just hair loss, though. Almost every aspect of Alyssa's life has suffered.
I have heart palpitations, very muscle, not soreness, but fatigue. My hair is falling out. And I think the hardest one for me, my brain is usually very quick, is I have this brain fog and I lose track of my words. It could be a word like coffee and I'm like, you know, it'll just disappear for me. It is a really hard illness.
Is part of you scared that all these months on now that you might never recover fully from COVID-19?
Yes, for sure. And all of my friends that have had this, there's not anyone that is not a long hauler. No one has recovered completely from this that I know.
Each of us has our own journey.
There are now more and more awareness campaigns around the world for what has become known as long COVID, with sufferers calling themselves the long haulers.
We need rehab, research and recognition.
Many people are yearning for support, to feel that they're not alone, and also to find out some answers to their troubling post-COVID illness.
So let's just get an update as to where we're up to. How many patients have we got enrolled in ADAPT in total?
When COVID-19 struck, researchers at St Vincent's Hospital in Sydney quickly assembled a team of specialists here to track what happens to people for the first year after infection. Professor Greg Dorr is one of the investigators and has been surprised by how significant the long-term fallout can be, particularly for those who get just a mild strain of the virus.
I think one of the things that has surprised us is that people that weren't hospitalised can still have problems breathing. I mean, that's seemed a bit unusual. We're focused on the number of deaths, but even for young people infected, the significant post-COVID illness we're seeing in some people should be a bit of a wake-up call.
So it depends when she went and got tested.
COVID-19 has forever changed Joe Tannis, who wants his experience to be a warning for everyone.
Look, I've taken a positive outlook on life. For me, the outlook is about, okay, no matter how small or big the activity is, I'm glad that I'm here to share my story with the general public, just to tell them that COVID is real. Just take a good hard look at someone like myself at 49 years of age, fit, no underlying health conditions, to be struck down with it as bad as I did. It's real, and it doesn't discriminate. It'll hit you, and if it hits you, it'll hit you hard.
How are you feeling right now after all this gas bagging?
I need a breather. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Abo. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.